roll. Hey, people, it's hot. It's just hot. Go ahead and take a bag of ice and set it in your lap. Sit in your backyard and listen to the podcast today. Maybe have a hot dog or a burger or something. Then blow some shit up. Everybody's doing it tonight while we're taping too. Had to put special insulation in the room to try to keep the firework noise out. It's because my poor dog is losing his shit. Almost Agreement at gmail.com. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube. Go to the website, almostagreement.com. We'll go on there. It's midsummer. It's hot. The communists are among us, and we're going to talk about that. Or socialists. I don't know. I always get confused when the right's name-calling the left. So whatever it is, they're here. It's happening. We're gonna address it. Almost Agreement at gmail.com. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Go to the website, almostagreement.com. Go to your favorite podcast provider. Like, spread, and share. Follow. Text us to your friends. Do what you can do to support the show. We're going to keep doing what we're doing. We're going to roll into a hot summer of politics. So, all right, here we go, people. How about that?
Hey.
How you do?
How be?
Would be anything new and exciting in your life? Did you survive this hotter damn it week?
Just barely.
It's been rough. It's been real rough. Like trying to get a couple more things finished on the house. I mean, we're essentially done. It's now just poking at little stuff that's not end of the world on this little extra house. We were trying to pack up and get ready for our trip, which I'm a little bit concerned that it's gonna be this hot down there. You get that ocean breeze, which is nice. But it's still just oppressively hot, and then I'm old and fat, and running around on the beach ain't my thing no more.
That was all supposed to go away this weekend.
I don't know. It's supposed to be maybe here, but it's supposed to be on and off stormy for the next couple of days here. But I still think it's supposed to be pretty hot.
You looked at weather there, and it's supposed to be.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be as hot or hotter there all the week that we're there. Maybe get some storm action.
But is the heat dome going to be there?
Yeah, well, that's true. We do have this growth, this exponential growth issue that's ruining our weather here in Knoxville, Knox County. So we'll see. But hopefully, I don't know. My parents left today, and they're at my aunt's house in Spartanburg. And my dad said it was a very pleasant drive. It was hot, but it's a very pleasant drive. So hopefully that means a lot of people are where they're going to be for the weekend.
Yeah.
And so in our drive tomorrow, we don't get a lot of traffic. Now, they did the Johnson City route around the mountains.
Yeah.
Last year, we did the Hot Springs, which is what we are tentatively planning. But every time I pulled the map up, it says take 40.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go fastest route.
Like Apple Maps.
Unless traffic's heavy, like
Apple,
there where they're doing construction isn't bad. You slow down a little bit.
Yeah, and so I'll pull Apple Maps in the morning, and we'll discuss it between here and the Newport exit. And if we get to Newport and aren't sure how we feel about it, we'll make that as
Hot Springs route isn't bad, but it's just a lot of
there's a lot of curvy and stuff back there. It's a pretty drive, and you get to see some proper mountains, some proper Appalachia.
I mean, you're seeing the same mountains.
And then there's some, but you get to be in it. And I don't know. I think it's a gorgeous drive, and I enjoy it.
Yeah.
If I'm going to have to add a little time to go around, I'd rather get a little bit of an upside because it ain't going to be as pretty going up to Johnson City and back down. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if I got to lose the mountains, if I got to lose the official mountain pass, all right. Weather's supposed to be pretty decent down in Charleston. I took a quick glance at it while we were warming it up. So I guess the big news of the week, other than July 1 kicked in and all the shit that comes with July 1 and the new laws kind of stuff for me personally, it's taking effect. Gas station heroin is officially off the market. You can't buy whippets anymore for... I don't know how they do that. I'm not sure how they're planning on doing anything about that. We carried them for a little while. It was never a big thing for us.
But still under that weird, it's like you could buy it for cooking if you're making whipped cream.
Right.
I don't know if they've put restrictions on that somehow for
I'm just saying, how do you take a whipped cream canister for a whipped cream machine and
maybe it's going to be like Sudafed where you have to give your ID or something and make sure you're not buying too much.
I mean,
I don't know.
Again, I go back to anyway. Yeah, so that was those are the two least effective ones. But the big hemp one is the one that was big hemp one. We've already had at least 2 hemp stores close permanently. announced their permanent closures.
I saw a story where I guess they were talking to the owner of Bloom or whatever.
Blom Shop. Travis is a good dude.
Yeah.
I like Travis.
He's like, we're just going to have to play it by ear next month, and we're going to see how it goes.
Yeah. I mean, and that's,
see where we sit after a month, basically.
Right, and that's what I told, like, every single staff member knows. That's just what every single staff member. We'll see how July goes, and we'll adjust from there. And I've been doing the math on the early numbers, but the early numbers aren't really fair because we had, like, it sucked. It sucked so bad. Last week was the best week in the history of the company by miles.
Yeah.
Record sale day after record sale day at all 3 locations, just murdering it. And it's like, yeah, I can't get excited about this. There's no excitement here. I know what's going on.
Right.
This is people stocking up. And, you know, so for us to get an evaluation of what the future is going to look like, we got to let these people burn through their stock. And while they're burning through their stock, pun intended, are they going to find their old guy so they can start picking up black market stuff again? Or when they burn through their stock, are they going to drive up to Virginia? Because that's an option now. Or are they going to resort to what's available to them in the edibles market that's left here?
I think North Carolina will still have THCA. I'm not sure.
I don't know. I know Virginia's got full rec now. They have, it's a weird, apparently like 300 licenses that they made available. It's only 300 licenses in the whole state.
Yeah. Which,
you know, I was joking with Travis about it, actually, because we were talking about it, because he still sells a lot of stuff, too. Because that's the stupid thing about it. Because the thing for, maybe I shouldn't share, this is inside baseball stuff, but Blom Shop both distributes and retails. Retail locations. But they're also distributors, which has been handy for me, because I've worked with them to bring in some of the brands that we were getting directly from the manufacturer that we can't do anymore because this new law makes it go through a state distributor, and Blom Shop is a registered state distributor. I didn't have to try to get one of the big liquor companies to fuck with those guys and big fights, and so that's been helpful. It's kept a couple of products we were concerned about losing on shelf. You know, but he's got more avenues because it does not restrict his ability to distribute THCA products out of state. So he can still bring in warehouse and ship out of state. Huh. He can ship out of state on his online retail. I don't know if he does online retail. If he does, he can.
You were saying it was still legal. It's still going to be legal to possess in Tennessee.
There's no metric to do anything right.
I guess Tennesseans could order it from out of state?
Mostly, yes, theoretically.
I would assume if you couldn't buy it in shops here, you can't.
I mean, they can't. But the problem is there's no mechanism to stop that. You can't. You know, like you could tell, I guess. You know, if you have an online retail shop in Texas, you can tell that Texas company to not ship into the state of Tennessee. But I don't think you can criminalize it on them. You could criminalize it on the buyer, I guess, theoretically, because you're illegally importing into the state of Tennessee. But I don't think the state of Tennessee has the right to go to Texas and shut down your business, even if your business is aiding and abetting to illegal crimes or something. I don't know. I don't know how they could do that without getting the feds involved, which the feds obviously aren't going to.
They're doing that with like birth control pills.
They're talking about doing it. They never did it.
I don't know if any state has tried to sue. There's talk of some states trying to sue other states for shipping out of state.
Yeah, and so I don't know. I don't know what the solution is on that part, because that's part of the problem for us. Because again, Mr. Briggs, as I told you in person many times, it's like you've done nothing. Again, according to him, he's trying to protect children from it. You've done nothing but keep it as easy as it's always been for kids to get it. You've done nothing to stop it from being used and consumed in this state by children and adults. You've just hurt Tennessee businesses and Tennessee employees. Told him that repeatedly, but Big Liquor apparently put a bunch of money in one of his last campaigns. I'd seen some rumors on it. I haven't looked up the data, but apparently, like, the person whom said it cited, like, you can go to the whatever, and it's a campaign tracking website that shows donations and stuff, like shows who's donating to what campaigns and stuff like that in a better format than trying to go to the Secretary of State's office or whatever. So, you know, whatever. Evolve or die, I guess, is the way it works, and so that's where we're at on that. I'm sure a whole litany of other new laws went into effect that I'm not paying attention to. Oh yeah, the other one that does affect me is, let's see here. Let me try to not color this with what I'm going to say afterwards and see what your opinion is. I'm not exactly sure what the definition of a bar is per the state, but basically, if you operate a bar, you have to have roofie testing kits available for customers upon request.
Yeah, we talked about that before.
We have talked about it? Okay.
I mentioned it. It was a law that I read.
Yeah. And so that went into effect.
If you guys had run into it, yeah.
I went on the Amazon and bought some testing strips.
I thought it said the law was opening up, but I didn't think they were going to require people to have them on hand until at least this fall or the beginning of next year.
Yeah, I mean,
it was given, I guess, places time to kind of catch up to it or something. I don't know.
Okay. But so, and so like I read through it to check what we had to do with it. And because my concern with it personally is because I'm that kind of dickbag, I'm going to say some stupid shit and be like, hey, I pay attention. You got to have a testing strip. I think somebody roofied my beer and make them waste testing strips. But it does say in the law that you are allowed to charge for them. It's just not a profitable price. Huh. So I can't remember, like there's 65 cents a testing strip in this pack I bought.
Right.
And so there's 75 cents.
I would say $1.
I mean, 70, that gets into the realm of where I feel like it's a profitable, but enough to make it like you want to screw around and be silly with your friends, fine. And so like the rule we have is like if somebody comes up to you in earnest, it's your call. If somebody comes up to you and asks for a testing strip, it's your call. If you think they're being shitty, put 65 cents on their tab or 75 cents on their tab.
Right.
If you think they're earnest about it, just test it for them. But like again, like there's nothing in the law about like how it works. Like, am I supposed to give the strip to the customer and let them test their own drink, or do we test it for them? Because our policy as of right now is we test it for them. You think your drink got spiked? Hand me your drink.
All right.
It's now on our side of the bar. I'll go get the testing strips where it's under our control. We'll test it. We'll look at it against the bottle. We'll show you it, I guess, if you want to look at it too. But like, if it doesn't show signs of whatever, here's your drink back with my finger having now stuck in it. But congratulations.
Why are you sticking your finger in it?
Because I'm sloppy with the testing strips. I stuck something. I did stick something in your drink at this point. But anyway, right. My point is it just seems like I get the idea of it. Like I get the idea of it in so far as like, had it been something I put any thought, like I didn't even know the testing kits existed prior to this. Reasonably, I should have known, like I should have known that there's stuff for this kind of stuff. There's like drug testing drug kits. Have you seen those? Like, so you could test your Coke for fentanyl.
I think I've heard of them.
And you can and apparently you can pick them up pretty easily at like normal places.
Yeah.
And it's like, which is smart. Like it's smart. Like, hey, I want to go do some Coke this weekend, but I don't want to die. I want to make sure I'm not getting laced shit.
Right. Tootsie, I think it was a story last week that I think it's like the Drug Coalition building or something, but they've got like a vending machine outside that has free naloxone.
I did see something about that. Yeah, I mean, we got a mountain of like free, what's the OD?
Yeah, naloxone.
We got a bunch of free ones.
There's a couple different. I think that's the main one.
And so it's just like, whatever, I don't know. Like I said, like in hindsight, if it is something I had put a half a second of thought into in the past, it might have been something we would have just done and had them around. And so it's like, I think it's a good thing to do. I think all bars should do it. I don't think it should be obligated by law. And again, I don't know what the penalties are for not having them. I didn't look all the way deep through all the different subsets of things. It's like, I don't know. There is, I don't know, it's weird to be like, especially in the alcohol game, it's like, we are trusting adults. We have to trust adults. We have to trust adults to make decisions in that situation to have public consumption of alcohol. Like, we as a society have to trust them. And to be honest, historically speaking, adults have not done a really good job of earning that trust. DUI accident after DUI accident, domestic abuse, all sorts of stuff that goes on with alcohol abuse and stuff like that. But to have that thing available, we have to trust the public to do stuff with it and be intelligent and be responsible at some level. And if you get right down to it, the public does actually do a pretty good job. Because, again, we talked about it a couple weeks ago, the gallons and gallons and truckloads of beer that come in and out of this town.
Right.
Like, for the amount of alcohol that is consumed locally, and if you, I mean, I think if you really thought about it, like the amount of alcohol that is being used and consumed in Knox County, and only having the minor amount of DUIs, which I'm sure we'll have a DUI checkpoint this weekend, be on the lookout for that. I haven't seen the announcement, but they have to announce them apparently. Anyway, so the public is fairly responsible with their alcohol use. And but there's all these little things but it's the bar's fault if you're not responsible with it. And now it's the bar's fault if we can't protect you from somebody else spiking your drink. It's like, again, the responsible thing. Yes, I want to do my best to make that a thing. Like we have as a standing rule, if a customer says, "Hey, will you keep an eye on my drink? I go to the bathroom or whatever."
Right.
We'll put it behind the bar, out of reach of other people. We will do our best. We will support your efforts to protect yourself. But it's like to oblige me to do it. Just I don't know. It takes all these little steps where it takes the responsibility out of the person that's consuming's hands. It just kind of I don't know. It gets to me sometimes, and this is another one on the list of things. But yeah, that's the new laws that are affecting me, at least that I know of. I'm sure there's other ones out there that I haven't paid attention to.
A couple with schools. Local News did some article, but then it listed like 5 things of what were going into effect July 1st.
One of the things, speaking of schools, that happened this week is the estimate that Knox County had used in their budget for the school budgets when they presented it to this county. When Knox County Schools presented their budget, part of what they do is on their revenue side is they're estimating what they think the state's going to give them off of the formula and the BEP. Not it's not BEP anymore, but what's his name? I've talked to him a couple times. Anyway, like basically, like they go and they look through all the numbers and they say this is what we expect the state's going to kick us out this year. Well, they do the budget before they actually get what the state says they're going to kick out, and so. A couple weeks ago, Knox County Commission pulls $4 million out of their budget, and then the state comes in about $4 million short of what they were anticipating the state to kick in.
$4 million. Dang.
So it combined for almost $8 million out of that budget. So 1%. Which, isn't huge, but it's not nothing.
Right. Potential jobs.
Yeah. Which apparently Ryswick presented their budget adjustments that they're then going to take to school board this coming week. And apparently, good for Ryswick, by the way, they subdivided their corrections to their budget by where the shortfalls were coming from. So he basically says, we're going to take the $4 million that the county took from us. This is what we're going to do with it. And the $3.8 million that the state isn't giving us, this is what we're doing to correct that. And so the majority of the $4 million is staffing labor stuff. So 29, 30 teachers, something like that, are going to be dropped from the teacher roster as planned.
Right.
The crazy one is like elementary school assistant principals.
Yeah, they were lowering their the days.
We'll have basically have five additional vacation days that they have to take that they don't get paid for.
Yeah,
and so I think it's 255 days was the old number. Now it's 250 days they're allowed to work. Like that's the world we're living in now, where we're capping how much you're allowed to work because the budget is that tight.
Right.
Like if you want to work more,
we're capping the amount of days we're going to pay you for.
Right. But I'm sure that, but I'll bet you inside the teachers' labor union stuff, they're hardcore about it. They're like, I don't care if you're behind. I don't care what's going on.
They get paid like teachers, where I don't know if it's a choice, but basically like you still get paid throughout the summer. They pretty much just equal out your paychecks throughout the entire year.
And I'm sure they could work that out and still do that. It would just be whatever. They're but at least on paper, it doesn't sound like they're docking salaries. They're just giving more time off, unpaid. It sounds a little better.
Right.
But, and I don't know what an assistant principal makes anyway.
Right.
I'm assuming it's at least as much as teachers make, which starting teachers in Knox County is $50,000. So it ain't great money, but it ain't bad either. But if it starts at 50 grand and you've been there for a couple of years and you're in like the 60, 65K and now you have to take an additional week off unpaid, you're taking a pay cut.
Right.
And so that's pretty nasty. I mean, that's just nasty the way they have to do it. But I mean, you can't fault Ryswick for it. And again, like I said, kudos to Ryswick for the way he presented it by putting it together. By presenting it as the $4 million that the county took out.
This is what it's going to cost us.
This is what that truly costs us, and that's on here. But apparently, and so Scott and Jesse were talking about it a little bit on their show today that I thought was interesting. So apparently, there was been back when Burchett was mayor of the county. I guess he was county executive because it was still that title back then. There was the last time that we had some big old drop down, lawsuits. Knox County Schools suing Knox County, back and forth fights on budgets and stuff like that with them. And so that's when they came up with some of these non-legally binding agreements to keep things more civil. Whereas basically, the 70-something percent, 72% or whatever of sales tax countywide is obligated by law to go to Knox County Schools. We always talk about the city sales tax and the county sales tax. All sales tax in the city of Knoxville, or in Knox County, 72% of it goes to Knox County Schools, no matter what. But they basically said, during the Burchett area, they basically said, I think they called it their adjustment for growth, is that they would just basically take that 72 cents, that's automatic, that's by law, can't do anything about it. And then over that, the county would do a 50-50 split on property tax. And that's just how it's always kind of been. And so that's where, like we always joked about, like, if I were Ryswick, I would be asking for more money. And let the county commission and the mayor's office tell me no. Because you're going to have, it's a little bit of a disservice to Knox County residents, insofar as, this mayor told me he cares about schools and he keeps taking it out of budget. This county commission tells me they care about schools, but they keep knocking down the budget.
Right.
And put the ball in those elected officials' court on the budget issue instead of just playing nice, because county commission and the mayor's office look good when they say, your budget's great. Here it is. We'll just take your budget, stick it to our budget. Everything's great. But when you're like, we're short, we need more. But so anyway, this kind of agreed upon formula came up with the 50-50 split. And so that's how they generate the number they ask for. And then they fill in from there. And so, which again, it's a disservice to Knox County, because it's like, Dr. Ryswick, how much money does it take to teach 60,000 kids in Knox County? That's not how they think about it. They think about it as, how much money are we going to get, and we'll figure out what to do with it from there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I think it's a disservice to us, because and it's part of the bureaucratic nightmare. It's one of the things I don't like about bureaucracy and stuff like that. They're going to take all the budget they can, and that's what they've been doing. But it's like, well, what's the real number though? Like, not extravagant, not going crazy, not giving every kid a MacBook Pro and having crystal chandeliers in the cafeterias of the high schools or anything like that. But good, solid, quote, well-paid teachers, decent facilities, all the different things that we want to do. What would we need to generate to do that? And is that a number that we as a county would be like, okay, well, maybe it is worth that. Maybe we do want to make that investment as county residents with our taxes. But instead, they just ask for the bare minimum of what they're going to get, and then we don't know. And again, I've always argued with everybody all the time. It's like, I don't know. Like, I've always said, like, if you're a public school advocate, right, and you think public schools are the right way to do it, forget all the stuff, forget everything. How much should it take? How much money do you need to educate a kid a year? I don't care about the politics of it. Just give me that number.
Right.
Because the reality is that number is impossible. And it's like, okay, but you always ask for more money. You always say more money is the solution. Well, where's the cap to that? Is there ever going to be a cap to that? Or is it always just we don't have enough money to do the job? That's what I always hear from the teachers, especially the teachers that went to school board. Jennifer Owen, when we talked to her, the school needs more money. How much more money?
Right.
It's a distinct question, and it's like because if it's just more, it's hard. It's hard to sell to the public more.
Right. You can get reasoning behind it, like for this amount of money, for every 10 students, we can have an extra staff in there to kind of be like a little mini tutor or whatever.
Right. Well, and again, it's the other part too is that the general public doesn't understand education metrics. I think who was it? I think it was Mike Rowe was talking about it with a guest who's like a longtime educator and big proponent. Obviously, she's on Rowe's show, so they're talking about trade schools and stuff like that because that Mike Rowe Foundation, all the stuff he does.
Right.
But basically, he said something along the lines of like we don't grade students anymore. Like the grades that we give students are just kind of a joke. It's not an applicable, logical thing. Like, it doesn't mean what it used to mean when we were kids. That's basically what she was trying to say. And it's like, and I tend to agree with that. Like, it's weird. And I think I don't think that's true. I don't know. I think for me at least, and I don't know if you feel the same way about our high school experience, but I feel like B was average, not C. I think most kids got B's in most classes or better.
Yeah.
Like, and again, maybe the other way to look at it as I think curriculum is built for what they think you are capable of getting an A in. Does that make sense? At this grade level, with the amount of education you've had, you should be able to do this and get an A. Instead of, this is what you
should
need
be able to at least get a B. I don't know.
Right, but I'm just saying, like the way it feels like to me as a parent now is like if you do the work and put an ounce of effort into it, you should be able to get an A in everything you're doing in Knox County schools. And it's like, okay, that sort of makes sense, except that what is that like? If you have the end of year standard, like how does that apply to an actual measuring stick? I guess is what I'm trying to say. Is like forget everything else. Again, forget everything else that's going on. What do we want a kid that graduates high school to be? What level of education does that? What does it mean to get your high school diploma? Other than we've joked about it, but it's like I don't know what that means. I don't know what it means. It doesn't tell me what you know. Because especially now, which I find interesting, is how much more specialized our high school careers are getting for students. The new academies programs where you get to specialize in your electives. What percentage of Knox County students are in AP courses in high school that are graduating high school with college credit?
Seems like more than when we were in high school.
Yeah, for sure, because it's been more available, and it's like, that's great. I think that's a fantastic thing, but it's like, it still doesn't answer the question what a diploma means.
I just went to my niece's graduation. Yeah. I want to say there was at least a few kids that I'm pretty sure they graduated with an associate's degree. I was like, wait, what? I was like reading the program. I was like, is this right? I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah. Which I think some of the stuff that's supposed to be in the academy stuff, like some of the very specific specialties in the academies are supposed to get you to an associate level or a certificate of a certain thing, like the beauty school. I think Austin East has a cosmetology program is inside theirs.
Really?
And if you complete all the different parts and pieces of it, you should be able to graduate and then go take the state exam for cosmetology.
Wow, that's good.
I mean, yes, but again, it's still, it's like, okay, so then we don't need cosmetology schools anymore? You can just go to high school again? Like, why is an adult, if I was like, I want to go to a bar.
As an adult, you wouldn't be able to go to Austin East and take that class.
Why not? I'm a resident of the community. I want to get an associate's degree, or I want to get my certificate. Why do I have to pay for?
Same reason why a 30-year-old can't go back to high school to get their high school degree. They can go to a separate school and get their high school equivalent or their high school diploma, but you can't re-enroll into a high school.
The diploma that I didn't get when I should have when I was 17, 18 or whatever was available to me, and I just failed to do it. A certificate in cosmetology was not available to me when I graduated from a Knox County high school.
Right.
I don't know. That's a stupid angle to argue about it. Anyway, I apologize. I guess I just think it's a like it. I don't like the. I can't remember who it was. There's a guy I was watching a video on. He was talking about it's like, and I think it's one of the more intelligent things I've heard. And this guy does not appear to be the most intelligent person ever. He's like, why do we teach by age? And I think that's the point. I think that's the reality of the point of what I'm talking about with all the AP and advanced stuff that we're starting to let the high schoolers do. Because in high school is when it starts to spread out. Like I was joking with the younger one. I was like, it's possible you'll have a class with your brother when you're like, he's 2 years ahead of you in school. You'll be a freshman, he's a junior, but it's possible you'll share a class because it doesn't. They start to let go of that in high school. Like it's not, well, you're taking third grade English and third grade math and third grade this. It's now you're taking this math. Right. We're now in algebra.
Right.
If you're ready for it, you think you can do it as a freshman, take algebra as a freshman. If you're not, and it takes you to get to a junior or whatever.
Yeah, like I never took calculus in high school.
Right. And so you have all these different. Like high school is when it starts to break down and you start to get to more like you just have to be able to do the thing and you could take those classes. But like, why do we do that with like, it just like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, why do we do that in elementary school? Like you have
to an extent. I mean, you can test out of certain, I can't say a class, but you can test out of an entire grade.
Right.
And essentially skip the grade.
Right. If you're third grade aged, but are capable of enough, you can skip fourth grade and go to fifth grade.
Right.
Which, again, but it's still, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, it would make more sense to me to take the same capability set of students and put them together in a classroom. And whether those kids are third, fourth, fifth grade ages, but they're all doing their ELA. Like, you have fifth graders that can't read well yet. Like, that's that number they use all the time in TCAPs, third grade reading level, third grade reading level. Right. So second, third, and fourth graders. So you take the second graders that are better readers and put them in third grade, put them at a third grade level, quote, reading class. You take the fourth grade readers that suck at reading and have them in a third grade reading class. And so all the kids are at a similar level. And then the teacher can be a better teacher because they're not trying to keep the smarter kids from getting too bored and then getting disruptive, because that's what smart kids do when they're bored.
Right. I think I've ever heard of kids in like second or third grade where they did have like a separate group for like advanced readers.
Right, but it's they do that with where they take the third graders that are advanced and pull them out into a separate thing. They don't do that. They did do that, but that's one of the things we lost in last year's budget cuts. Is we lost most of our advanced, so they fall under the special ed category.
Yeah. And
our advanced set of the special ed category, we lost most of those teachers to budget cuts. And
this was still with the same teacher.
Right. So what they're doing now is that curriculum is going to to their regular. So again, if we're doing reading,
right,
that reading teacher is giving them that curriculum while they're giving the other students the regular curriculum. And then while they're probably personally trying to help the students that are a little bit behind catch up to everybody else.
Yeah.
Where again, my point is, it's like, how much harder does that make the teacher's job? When the teacher could just be like, all of my students are in the same general area on this, and I can teach. Where all of the students that are better at this are in a different group with a teacher that can teach. And then all the students that are falling behind and need more help are with this other teacher in a smaller group so that teacher can teach. It would seem like the more logical way. You'd see I'm sure you'd see some interesting like developments over time on like gender disparity, boys and like girls probably advancing in certain things that boys are falling behind in. And so you'd have like second grade boys with fourth grade girls, or the other way around. Fourth grade boys with second grade girls, because
I don't think I've heard much of that.
I'm guessing there's some of that would come out in the wash. But I don't know. It's just one of those things that's interesting. It's one of those things to me that this is how we've done schools. And I think that's the problem with public schools as they are. I think that's what most people are just like, this is how public schools work. Tick, 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 tick. That's how I went through school. That's how my parents went through school. That's how schools work. And then anytime you start getting out of the box, like, why do we bother teaching by age level instead of by general intelligence? It's like all we can do is find the reasons why it shouldn't work instead of going, is this way that we've always been doing it the best way? I doubt it.
I mean, even within the same grade, you can have like a good year to year and a half age disparity. of kids that came, depending on when a kid actually started school.
I mean, it's usually within a year, unless you have like I have, like you do. Like my eldest could be going into his junior year this year, like because he's a summer baby, and he was like by the technical cutoff, he should be a year further in school.
Yeah,
and so like all his friends are like he turned 16 at the at the end of the school year. School was still going on his freshman year. He turned 16. Most of his friends don't turn 16 until their sophomore year starts.
Right.
And so he is on the older end of all the students that are in his grade level. But that's because we made that decision when he was finishing preschool, when he was with his last year of regular preschool. Between then and his kindergarten year, we added the 5 years. I don't remember what it was an additional preschool year we added in there because we didn't think he was emotionally ready to go into the full classroom.
One reference took, apparently around here they called it transition, but that was in between kindergarten and first grade, where they basically repeated kindergarten.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those things, I think, too. I think that's one of the things that when people talk about getting universal preschool available, that would be helpful, because you have people that are shoving their kids in kindergarten because they need them to get out of the house. Yeah. They're old enough to be in kindergarten. They're not ready for it.
Yeah.
You know, and especially if they've done no preschool, they're absolutely not ready for kindergarten. But
they've just been going to a daycare.
Right. You know, but it's like I've got to get them into the school so I can get back to work and we can pay the bills and stuff like that. And so it's I'm not opposed. I don't know. Again, it goes back to the same problem, though. It's a problem with the universal pre-K, or if we start doing universal preschool, it's going to run into what I would assume is the same problems we're having with public schools in general, is who's going to run it? The state will. And if the state runs it and you don't like the way the state works, you got to deal with it. And it's like, well, we got our universal pre-K, but they're teaching about God, which our preschool did. Our school.
Yeah, I was about to say there's church-based preschools.
Our preschool is church-based. So I'm just saying, like, but if it's universal and they've got to figure out how to fund it, like, I think that would be a method that the state would go after. Be like, we can't afford to do this, full stop, but we could bring in some nonprofits to help with it, and these nonprofits all have God involved. So if you want the free preschool you've been asking for, it's got to have God. And I'd say a lot of people would not be okay with that. A lot of people that are asking for universal pre-K would not be okay with it being faith-based.
Yeah.
And rightfully so, to be honest. If the state's going to run it, God does not need to be involved. I think. For now, I don't know. Marsha's on her way. Did you see the Marsha video?
What Texas thinks. I did watch the Marsha
video. Awkward Marsha video?
Well, I watched it was like the National Channel 5 Marsha video.
Yeah,
I think that was their reporter that was trying to ask her the questions.
Did you see the follow-up from Channel 5 on it? She then went on to some conservative radio show or something and was asked about it.
I saw it mentioned. I didn't watch any of that actual podcast.
She tried to explain it away as, well,
she was on federal time and she can't talk.
Right, which is not a thing.
She can't talk about campaign on federal time.
Which is not a thing.
Which I saw them mention that if she was on like federal grounds during like a federal meeting or something like that, then it might qualify. But yeah, like her on her spare time.
Right, if she's on the Senate floor, it would probably be inappropriate for her to be talking about her campaign for a different seat while on the Senate floor. I could agree with that.
Yeah.
But she's walking down a hallway. I don't even care if it's the federal House or the federal Capitol building hallway. If a reporter asks her about her campaign, I don't think there's any obligation for her not to answer that question. Yeah. She can choose not to, obviously. But she can't be like, well, I'd love to talk to you, but rules state that I can't talk about things that aren't going on in this building while I'm in this building. That's horseshit.
Yeah.
I guarantee you,
shirt on it yet.
I'll bet you dollars a donut she's done like a call in to a radio or a podcast with somebody sitting in her Senate office building. Yeah. It's just a blatant lie. Austin asked me about this Fitz character running for governor.
Monty
Fitz.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know anything about him, but I probably would vote for him before the other two right now.
Well, apparently John Rose, I guess, responded to it and was like, it's ridiculous. I don't know, ridiculous, but basically, like, it's weird, she can't even respond to a question about why she wants to be governor, etc.
Well, because Fritz's campaign, like what I have seen of his campaign is his whole thing is like they won't debate me. People are asking for debates. Everybody that's asked for a debate, I've said I'll be there.
Yeah,
and both Rose and Marcia are
Rose
invited.
Declined that as well,
and are declining them.
Oh.
Now there is one in particular that Rose has agreed to participate in, but Marcia has not yet.
Yeah,
and so which
I don't know if she's just trying to lay low with her probability. Like she doesn't want to make a misstep.
To be fair to that take, it's like when she announced, it's like, okay, that's our new governor. Like I jumped on the train of this is
okay. Well, yep, that's who it's going to be.
This is the future,
right.
But I don't know. Like it's interesting. I think what's fascinating to me about it, and I don't know where Fritz is on it, but both Rose and Blackburn are like just battling it out for the assumed Trump nominate or Trump endorsement. Who he said he won't. He said he won't. He likes them both very much. They've done great things for me or whatever.
Right.
But like both of them, all their ads, any excuse. Like Marcia's most recent one is just Trump talking about her.
Yeah.
It's Trump
She's
quotes.
A fighter.
It's just Trump quotes, and then the narrator, and then another Trump quote. And I'm not sure if that's that's even actually officially her campaign or whatever. But it might be a pack or whatever. But it's like. I don't know what, like, I don't know. Like, we were talking last week about the XYZ closure and me falling into the comment section and stuff like that. That sells to those people. I guarantee, like,
right. They'll
which ones
believe that as like, oh, that's an endorsement.
Which ones? Well, not just that's an endorsement, but they want that. They want Trump to tell them who to vote for.
Oh, yeah.
Where for me, and I like, this is where I get lost in hope. My hope is that it's not a good thing to get a Trump endorsement anymore.
That's what I was kind of wondering with his polling numbers right now. Like, is it a good idea?
Exactly. Like,
I mean, he still has his very dedicated base. So I don't know if they're just trying to at least get those numbers and hope to pick up some additional numbers.
Well, the question is his dedicated base, is the portion of his base, dedicated base in Tennessee, enough to win elections? It might be enough to win elections around here.
Yeah, with as many people that show up.
Right. The dedicated base that do vote, it might be enough to win elections in Tennessee. I don't know. Like, I mean, Trump won the state.
Right. I looked at a sample ballot, and I think there's like 5 different Democratic gubernatorial candidates.
Gubernatorial candidates.
Gubernatorial.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't heard a lot from a lot. I haven't heard a lot of people. I haven't seen a lot of real good action.
I recognized a couple names from previous campaigns or previous elections.
Yeah, so, like, it seems to me that Tennesseans are not prone to opening their eyes and looking around and being like, whatever. They're just like, whoever the Republicans tell me to vote for, I'll vote for.
Yeah.
And the Republicans are telling me to vote for the ones that sound like, look like, act like, feel like that Trump likes them best.
Yeah.
And I don't know, because to me, like I said, to me, who is looking around at the United States right now saying, this is awesome, things are great, and thinking, I want more people like the president to be my local government too. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. Like,
there's some people that think we're doing great right now, just because that's what's being kind of shouted upon high.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, Trump did clap back at a reporter because they were asking some of his really gross, all his trades and financial dealings that he's still doing as president and stuff like that. And he's like, I don't know, whoever does that for me, I just, it's like a blind trust or whatever, and I just put it over there, and I don't even talk to those guys. And it's like,
I don't talk to my kids.
Well, right, like while he's doing the speech, the kids are sitting behind him in this presser.
Yeah.
And he's like, but stock market's great, and so if the stock market's great, I'm assuming I've made some money on those investments in the stock market. How's your 401k doing? Like, he asked the reporter how their 401k was doing.
Yeah.
I didn't hear the response from them, but it's just like, But again, that goes back to who fucking votes. Who has 401ks? Old people. And who cares about their 401k? Old people, because young people can't afford to put money into their 401k because they got to take every ounce of their paycheck. And
I don't think to some extent it depends on what your 401k is invested in. I don't know a whole lot about 401k in it.
Yeah, I mean most 401ks
IRAs
are right. They're all built. They're mostly designed in the very consistent growth areas. They avoid risk.
They're pretty much safe.
And you could do them like you could. One of the ones that I had in a company, like I got excited about having it, and I was navigating like his Fidelity or was our broker or whatever. And you could go in there and you could take like you could split up percentages of your investment into different groupings that they had built. And so you had the high risk groupings, put 10% here, 30% in medium, and then that like bond, like high bond rating, easy to do whatever's guaranteed, all or essentially guaranteed to at least outpace inflation, and that's all like, and so it's like 80% in there.
Yeah.
And you can spread a little bit out. And so, but yeah, I don't know. Most people, I don't know how most people's I don't know where my 401ks are anymore. I need to go and do some findings and digging back out because I'm sure they've got a couple bucks in them, but nothing worth much.
It's pretty like the Great Recession. I think a lot of people lost a lot of money in 401ks.
Yeah.
That was a housing market crash. I don't know how the stock market was faring at that time.
Yeah, and you're coming off of Enron and all that shit in the middle of that too.
Right.
And so, I mean, it's like we always talk about the stock market just being a mess. It's bullshit. The whole thing's fucking bullshit. It's a scam. It's been a scam from the beginning. It is an initial way for companies to raise funds, 100%.
I mean, it does seem to some extent. I mean, there's like tech stocks that are pretty much holding up.
Yeah,
The
the Magnificent Seven is what they call them.
The what?
The Magnificent Seven.
Oh, okay.
It's 7 companies.
It's like Apple, Amazon, and
Right, and then like some of the
Meta,
the chip manufacturer,
NVIDIA,
and then a couple of the big AI guys.
probably a couple pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, but no, the Magnificent Seven is all tech,
Oh, okay.
and it's responsible for like, I think
Most of them are responsible for some of the big growth,
right. It's responsible for like 80% of the growth in the market that we've seen,
and like the records we've had experienced.
and so, well, I mean, hell, you got Musk went public with SpaceX.
That's right. Yeah.
And that was a gajillion dollars. And that goes into the numbers, and it's like we now have $1 trillion in stock bought of SpaceX for SpaceX IPO.
It felt like a week later, but I think it's back about to where it's supposed to be or whatever.
Yeah, and it'll be an interesting one. Like I understand why people would buy them. Like I would had I had a few grand floating around and could get a couple of shares in that IPO, I would have taken a swing on it. I mean, like a good IPO, you take a swing on it and sell it the day after, you're probably going to make some money.
Yeah.
And if the company is good and sustains whatever, you're going to keep value in it. But I don't know. It's a mess. It's all a mess. I don't understand. What I don't understand, better way to say it, what I don't understand is how much it influenced just the way the stock market works and the people that are involved in it and the people who have their money in it, how much that in turn influences politics and the regulatory state, how the regulations are, like the idea, like the one to me,
the big players that can literally manipulate the economy.
Right. Like the one to me that drives me nuts is this, like as a shareholder, I can bring a civil suit against the board or the CEO if they make a decision that is likely to have a negative effect on my stock market, my stock price. And it's like, what? That's the point. You're taking the risk to follow these people so that they're going to make it worth more. And maybe this investment that the CEO wants to do does look like it's going to be a loss, but maybe their thought is that, yeah, it might cost us for a decade, 5 years, but once all this investment rolls back in, it's going to make us more money in the future. I'm just some random dude buying stock. What do I know? He's the CEO of the company. What does he know, to be fair? But, like the idea that that I can control my investment is a risk. That's the point. And that I have the legal grounds to get my money back when I lose on a risk. It's the same thing, you always call it, rich man's gambling. It's like, Can I go into a casino and play blackjack, and then be like, well, I lost all my money in blackjack. Now I'm going to sue you because you didn't set up blackjack in a way for me to win.
Well, you can buy quote unquote insurance when you're playing blackjack.
But I would say, like, it's like the idea of I took a risk and I put, $50 on the green on the roulette table. I took the risk. That's the point. And the roulette table is a good example because, if I bet green, it's what, 36 to 1, 37 to 1, depending on the wheel.
Is there only one green on the?
Well, it depends on the wheel. There's two greens. There's a green 0 and a double 0 green on some wheels. Huh. But either way, I just take number 7. It doesn't matter which version of it you want to do. I take one number on the roulette wheel, even if it's the generous wheel that's only 36.
Yeah.
I have a 1 in 36 chance, so it pays 36 to 1. Okay. I took the risk. I took the safer bet. I just bet black. That's a 50-50 split. Well, it's a 49-49 in 1. Yeah. Or 49.5 in 1, or whatever it is, because of the depends how many greens there are. But the point is that's the point. It's the risk. The risk is the reward. I invest in a company, and I'm risking my money on the assumption that I think that company's going to do well. I shouldn't have any that. There actually should be no protections for me. If I'm not confident in it, then I shouldn't do it. Yeah. That would be my take on it. At least slow down people throwing money around all crazy and let companies to be companies. I don't know. But then the big UT annual meeting was this week, and it wasn't necessarily planning on being a part of it, but apparently one of the subcommittees at the thing took a pause and went behind closed doors for a subset of meeting where the public is not allowed to spectate on it, and then came out and said, "Hey, we reached a settlement on that thing," and then kind of moved on. The professor that got fired for being excited about Charlie Kirk getting murdered.
That made national news.
Yeah. $1.9 million, but didn't get her job back, but settled the lawsuit.
Yeah.
Which is fascinating. Having it settled doesn't prove the case for the university. So even if they do update their disciplinary rulings, one of the core issues in the lawsuit was the freedom of speech aspect. And no amount of laws that the state of Tennessee can pass could take away freedom of speech from public employees.
Yeah.
And so the state or the university doesn't get this as precedent to say, okay, well, now we don't have to worry about that part because you settled.
No decision, right?
Right. But you also settled, which means you thought you were going to lose.
Or didn't want
or you didn't want all the stuff to come out. Yeah. In that has to, all the stuff to go public that has to be part of it. And it's like, well, okay, here we go. Going back to the education thing that we were talking about earlier, which is a little interesting one. You're talking about kids graduating from high school with an associate's. University of Tennessee is looking at creating a new degree somewhere between an associate's and a bachelor's. Associate's is a 2-year degree. A bachelor's is a 4-year degree. They're looking at making 90 credit hours instead of the 120 that is a 120 is a bachelor's,
okay,
which you should be able to do in 4 years. And it's very interesting to me because it's it goes into all these little things about the higher education system that I'd never understood. I would argue to death, and I will still argue to death, that if you get an application or you see a job listing and it says bachelor's required for this job, which is not uncommon, or an associate's degree required for this job, it's not about the school. It's not about the education you got at the school. It's just a way for them to narrow down how many people they're looking at. Yeah. So if you're a employer and you need a bigger applicant pool, but you don't want to go down to an associate's degree, they're making a new degree for you.
Well, I've seen some descriptions that they want a bachelor's in a particular field.
Sure. I mean, agreed. But again, they were I don't know. So always interested me. I don't disagree with the premise. I think there is part of it. It's it makes sense to me that if it's a generic vocation is not the right word. I'm sorry. If it's a generic work of some sort or the other, accounting, whatever, something that like that there's no specificity, but that only a short list of companies actually need that thing. That the idea of the individual paying for the training and education to work for somebody else makes sense. But like the inverse is like, why don't companies just train people? Like, hey, are you an idiot?
Some do, but it's a cost of them.
Are you an idiot? Well, no. Okay, you're smart enough to learn these things. Like, and which again, that's part of what the education system is. It's like you're smart enough to learn, so that I can now train you enough to get you to do what I need you to do for my company.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Again, it's like,
that's why you see some businesses that will literally partner with a school because they hope for it to be some kind of pipeline.
Right. Which again is
I think
like,
with some employers, they don't want to do that on the job training because there's that risk that you're paying to train someone and then they get that training
right.
and they're like, okay, bye.
I understand that. Then that was my point about like the generic work. Like if it's generic work because, dozens and thousands of companies have their own accountants in-house that they hire people that know how to do accounting and then they come work for them. Or you have accounting firms that have dozens of accountants that work in them that go to accounting for other people or whatever. Right. A company would run the risk of, I'm going to teach you how to do all these things. And then you quit and go get a job somewhere else. I invested all this time and money into getting you up to speed, and then you go and take all that skill I gave you somewhere else.
Yeah.
I agree with that. But part of the thing they're talking about with this new bachelor's is and this is what they were talking about in the meeting that's really weird, is it's for some new stuff that's not really clear yet what it is, and it would be like really specifically designed for really niche stuff. Like really niche applications of education. And they're hoping to find some companies to partner with them to help put these things together. And they're probably hoping that these companies will donate to the university to help offset the cost of doing this. And it's like, all this sounds to me like this company should just hire high school students and train them up on their thing. Because it's specific enough, obviously, that you don't have that option. Like, okay, I go work for Meta in this, like, if, for example, I don't know, I'm just making it up. But, like, Meta comes along and they're like, we need VR digital engineers. It's a very subset of things. There's not a bunch of VR companies doing a lot of VR work right now. We need people that have some specific set of knowledge on how to program VR technology. It's a new thing. Nobody else is really doing it. Well, just go find software engineers and train them, because you don't have the fear of them just up and leaving and going somewhere else, because there's not a lot of other companies doing it. Make it worth their time. Like, why do we need to pass that off to the student to pay for it and then work this backdoor deal where the university is asking and probably getting donations and sponsorships from the end employer to put this program together to train future employees for them? And it's just like, just take them and do it yourself. Why are you bringing the university into this at all? Because the university, because honestly, my take on it, the university likes it because there's a percentage, there's a graduation rate. Their graduation rate probably exceeds their placement rate.
Yeah.
Which means they get 3 years of tuition out of students who don't get the job on the other side. But they got their tuition, so it doesn't really matter at that point to the university. Like, that's their revenue generation system.
Yeah.
Where, and I guess maybe the employer likes that too, because if you have more potential employees than you have positions, then that helps keep wages down.
It can, yeah.
But if you're like, I don't know, it's just a weirdism. Like, again, it's the weirdism about schooling, and especially higher education has always been where I get stuck in the whole thing. You know, Max's dad, who was a labor boss in the tail end of his career, he was talking about it one day. He's like, I always found it interesting that we subsidize training for companies. Like, why are we subsidizing training? Like, why does, and it's and it's accurate to this day. Like, why does, Boeing, who hires aerospace engineer grads from the University of Tennessee, right? Why are we subsidizing Boeing's training as Tennessee residents? All of us are. Because some percentage of our tax dollars in the state of Tennessee goes to the University of Tennessee. UT makes a lot of their own money in their own ways, don't get me wrong. But at some level, there is a subsidy that you and I, as taxpayers, supporting Tennessee taxes, pay into University of Tennessee operations.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, Boeing's a multi-billion-dollar company. Why are you and I paying to train their employees? That seemes kind of weird.
I mean, at one point they were losing money because we bailed them out.
I mean,
Wasn't
Boeing
5,
sucks,
10
right?
years ago?
I was trying to think of I was trying to think of an example that I know we have a program at UT for.
Yeah.
There's plenty of other variants of the same idea.
I mean, to some extent, it's a societal incentive of that because as a society, we do need those people. I mean,
Right, but we still need them. It's just let Boeing hire them and train them up and teach them.
Yeah.
Why do we have to? It functionally, theoretically, be the same thing. Like, okay, Boeing has however many engineers they have in an annual cycle or whatever it is. They bring in a set of students, and a percentage of them don't make it. It's no different than UT. There's a percentage of students that come and start doing, doing the program, and
percentage of our tax dollars goes to like Pell Grants, which I was only I saw an article about. I don't know if it's a separate program or they're expanding the Pell program that applies for certain areas and certain trades.
Right. Yeah, and so like I don't know, like I get it and I don't get it. It's one of those things that I kind of go back and forth on. Some of it's jaded by my experience at the university.
Right.
But like I guess another good example, it's like we have a couple of bartending schools here in Knoxville. Now that's not an accreditation. You don't get a certificate. Like you get a certificate, but that's just from the school. It's not a state of Tennessee registered. Yeah. You get your ABC card as part of your education. But as long as you're
a certified mixologist,
as long as you're 18, you can get an ABC card. And if you can't pass the ABC class at KPD, I don't even know what you're capable of doing with your life because it's bad. Yeah. It's real bad. It's real dumb. It's real annoying, especially after you've taken it 12 times or so, like I have. Anyway. Like I lost my train of thought. What the fuck? But we have these bartender classes around Knoxville that and for the first time in my entire life of operating bars or whatever, we discussed it and we're like, well, let's reach out and see what we can do. And so I found the contact at one of the bartending schools. It's like, hey, we got this place we're finishing up build out right now. We're looking to hire X number of bartenders. When's your next class? He's like, we're halfway through a class right now. I've got about a dozen in the class. I think he said like, pretty sure 8 are going to finish class. And it'll be okay. And it's like, all right, well, send them my way.
It's like an internship or?
No, it's just a bar. Like it's just like you go, it's like a night school thing. You go for like an hour, 2 nights, 3 nights a week. And they teach you a bunch of different drinks, and they teach you a bunch of like food safe stuff, so you're not, getting gross stuff in people's mixed drinks. They teach you they do teach some neat stuff. They teach some history and some of like what's the difference in bourbon and whiskey?
Right.
What's the difference in bourbon, scotch, and whiskey?
Where it comes from? What's
the difference in moonshine, bourbon, scotch, and whiskey? And so it is some just general knowledge stuff that is useful stuff to have that, every good bartender I've ever known who never went to school just picks it up behind bars over years. And so it's like we hired 2 from the school. One is still actually working for us. The other one made it like 6 weeks, and we ended up having to fire her. And so, where we've been through, a dozen other bartenders over time, but it's just like, I don't know. The point is that you've been educated at this, and you obviously want to do this job because you paid money out of your pocket to get educated in this. And then for us, at least, it's a 50-50 split of worthwhile employees.
Right.
And so it's like, okay, well, the education isn't the thing that made them good workers. The lack of education of our other bar staff that we have now doesn't make them good workers. It's the working part. It's the willing to work part. It's the willing to spend the time. It's willing to put in the money.
And with that kind of job, it's a willingness to learn. I've had a couple of friends that was a bartender, like Macaroni Grill years ago, and if he ever got a drink, I mean, he was honest with the customer. He's like, I've never made that before. Like, what's in it? He would ask them.
I know. Well, nowadays it's
and, it's a 50-50 split whether or not that patron's going to be like, well, what the fuck? Like, why are you bartending if you don't know how to make this?
Depends what it is.
I mean, some like actual regular bar people like know that there's a shit ton of drinks out there, and
right.
Can't expect everyone to know.
Well, one of the things
drinks.
I can't remember what it was. There's like 8 drinks that's the exact same drink. It is literally.
Yeah, I was about to say some of it's a regionally thing. It's called something else.
It's called something else here. It's called something else there. And it's like I can't remember what it was. I got it at the bar one time when I was up at Pine House. Which one? You're coming to the Pine House and expect us to know some fancy bullshit. Right. You've lost your mind. But like they're like whatever, blah blah blah. This is what it is. And it's like okay. Where'd you find out? Where'd you hear about it? And I was like, oh, I was down on this bar at Panama Beach. I was like, oh, okay, so you're at a beach bar. Yeah. So it's some rum fruit mess. What color is it? And they're like, it's blue. And so I did some rum.
Got some curacao in it.
Right. It's a rum, blue curacao, and some pineapple juice. And they're like, yeah, that's it. It's perfect. It's like, I don't know what I just made, but
I'm glad you like it.
Close enough. No harm, no foul.
That'll be $15.
Yeah. But I mean, we used to do that all the time, especially on the strip.
I'm like, well, how much did you pay for at the beach?
Right, especially down on the strip. We get the inexperienced drinkers of these either good fake IDs or newly 21 kids coming in and be like, I saw on the TV show they made this. They did this shot. It's like I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So just make redheaded sluts or just Sex on the Beach shots, something real simple, pink and fruity.
Right.
Oh, that's so good. That's so good. It's like, okay, congratulations. Glad you like it. Moving on.
It's just vodka and some flavor.
Right. Vodka, peach, and cranberry juice all day long. It's good. It's a good mix. It's delicious. It's always been delicious. But anyway, bartending school is not worth it. Don't do it. Just go get a job.
Yeah. My friends went through like culinary school, and a part of that actual culinary program is you go and do
alcohol stuff.
6 months at. And 6 months of like an internship at like a restaurant or a bakery, etc.
I mean, I'm good with that. Like, I like it.
And part of it is to possibly, you actually get a job at that place once you graduate.
Actual kitchen. Because I think for bartending school in particular, like sitting sitting behind a fake bar with a bunch of stuff in front of you and a teacher telling you how to make stuff and stuff like that. 90% of bartending is personality.
Yeah.
Like in my experience, I'm sure there are some bars out there that the mixologist is important and like really high complex, high class complex drinks.
All right, like the library or whatever it is.
Right.
The
Peter Kearns,
the Oliver.
Yeah, Peter Kearns.
Peter Kearns. Okay.
But again, it's what it is. Like it's the vibe of the place that does that too. It's like, that like if you go into a bar that you don't talk to the bartender, you just order a drink. But they're not part of like it's to me in my experience personally. I always saw the bartenders as part of the entertainment.
It can be, yeah.
And whether that's just like the day regulars that I was talking shit about last week, being able to talk sports with them a little bit, they love that shit. And that was my gift as a bartender. Is like, if you guys haven't figured out here, I know a little bit about a lot of stuff. I can hold a good conversation about a lot of things. Like I may not be an expert on any of them. But some dude comes in and starts talking about something. I'm like, yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay, yeah. I can hold a conversation on that topic and not be a complete idiot. And people love that. That was my, like, I don't have tits. I don't giggle. But I could talk whatever and argue whatever as well. Like, people do like me yelling at them sometimes, too. Like, I'll get all hot and animated about something ridiculous. And of course, gambling always been it. The Kentucky Derby was one of my favorite days of work of all time. Was working a random Kentucky Derby where we weren't even really paying attention to it. I think they were watching golf most of the day, but then we'd flip over to the race because they do. It's like 30-something races all weekend for the Kentucky Derby.
Oh, that was all one day.
There's a ton of races.
I know there's a bunch of races.
Right.
I always thought it was just one.
But
day.
Like the race of the weekend, like the big
Kentucky.
races there's like 10 races that day.
Right.
And, and so we had I think we had DirecTV at that time up there because of all the because of football. And so, like, in the sports package that included football, there's, like, a horse racing channel. And we got to sit and watch, like we got to put one of the TVs in the corner on the horse racing channel, which had all the races of the Derby except for, like, 3 that NBC shows. And so when the races would get ready to start, we'd pull it over, and then we'd all throw our bets out, and then it was the most fun.
Yeah.
Random stupid Saturday ever at the bar. But, anywho, settle that thing. Tweener degrees, that's what Scott wants to call them. It's not an associate, it's not a bachelor's, it's a tweener. And then the big news of the week is the Bohawk's a communist, apparently. We talked a little bit about it last week. A little bit about it last week when they were talking about the way they put out where it had gone public that he had gone to Venezuela to march in a labor parade that was essentially in support of Maduro.
Right. Which again isn't a communist state; it's a socialist state.
Whatever. For as far as the Republicans are concerned, it's all the same thing, and just scream it loud enough, and everybody's supposed to freak out and not vote for him.
Right.
To which, the funny thing to me is, like, you look around at, like, local active Knoxville Democrats, they don't like Bohawk any less. And it's not, and I think the important distinction here is it's not that they are socialists or communists. It's they really don't like Betsy Henderson. Like, they really don't like the Republican Party, and in Knoxville, it's not the point is it's not who you're voting for, it's who you're voting against.
Yeah,
you know, and that's so much of general politics nowadays, i.e., the most recent PAC ad. I assume it's a Marsha PAC ad against Rose, where it's like China's buying up Tennessee, and John Rose is pretty cool with it. And then all of a sudden, people are saying that's not cool, and now John Rose is not cool with it anymore. Don't vote for John Rose. He's okay with the communists buying Tennessee farmland or some shit like that.
But his ad says otherwise.
And it's just like but the whole point of that ad is it's, you know, you can't vote for this guy.
All right.
And it's like, okay, you know, and it's like it's the point of the Republicans bringing up all this mess, and they're doing their little who wore the mustache better, Maduro or Bohawk flyer that they put out. Not flyer, but like post.
Yeah.
It's running around. And it's like you can't vote for this guy. Apparently Mike Davis, one of the Davises, whichever one's party chair now, the local county party chair, did an op-ed in the News Sentinel last week demanding that Bohawk step aside and he should be considered ineligible to run because of this, because he's a socialist. Which he's never said he's a socialist. He's just done. But apparently, he did some writing, and like, there's some stuff that's not. I mean, it's not good looking. It's not good looking stuff.
Right.
Like, there's a online like newsletter publication that he did some guest writing for, who, like, by definition, they are Marxist, Leninist, Leninist Marxist socialists, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's that they acknowledge that's their intent. That's what they want. Blah blah blah. And he did some stuff with them, and it's like, but he's also a union rep, you know, like that's kind of what union reps are.
Leninists and Marxists, that's all communism.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, so that's where the socialist and communist keeps coming back and forth different ways. So you got the Maduro link for socialism, and then you've got this link for communism. And it's like, well, he's a labor leader. That's kind of definitionally communist. He wants labor to have more control over the company than capital. And legally so.
That's not communistic.
Do what?
That's not communistic.
That the communism would be the state owns the means of
production.
Right. And so in the U.S. format, if the labor union can get the state to pass laws to make the companies do things for the, I mean, that's kind of what they're chasing. Like that's what labor law is. Labor law is a communist effort.
That's more socialist than communistic, but I don't know.
I don't know either. I get them both confused all the time anyway. What's socialism?
Pure socialism? I couldn't really give you a definition.
So funny.
I mean, what's floating around more in the U.S. now is the democratic socialists.
Right. That are winning.
Which they still believe in market values. They're just more... I actually pulled up. Saw an article about it. It was pushing back.
Won a
I mean,
bunch
when
of
Trump was
primaries.
running, he would just throw them all out. Like they're a Marxist, socialist, communist. It was just like the whole gamut of any kind of like naughty word.
Right.
Let's see here. Democratic Socialists believe in providing a more extensive social safety net within the confines of democracy. The movement often centers on securing universal health care, higher taxes on the wealthy, and stricter corporate regulation.
Yeah.
And communist ideals such as abolition of private property or central economic planning.
Yeah.
I guess they're basic communistic ideals.
Breaking shit. What are you doing?
I don't know. What did I knock over?
I don't know. But I don't know. We've been watching. Speaking of communism, we started watching Star City. It's a spinoff. I've told you about the For All Mankind. It's a series on Apple. It's the alternate history. Is if the Russians had won the space race. Like the first episode starts out with we're watching the moon landing, and then it's a cosmonaut speaking.
Yeah.
And so they did like 6 seasons, 7 seasons. It's really fun.
Oh, wow.
It's really interesting. And then they just finished what may have been the series finale of For All Mankind. And as that, like halfway through that season, they started advertising their spinoff show. It's called Star City, which goes back to the beginning of this alternate history. And it's all inside the Russian space program.
So I think it was the first season of The Man in the High Castle.
Yep.
That was if
Alternate
the
history.
Axis won.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, World War II.
Yeah. I do. I enjoy a good alternate history. They're fun. The what ifs.
Kind of what if, yeah.
But yeah, so it's an interesting. It's an issue. It's like so far, and again, I don't know how accurate it is to how things worked in Russia at the time, but it's pretty nasty. It's a fun show. So going back to all the isms that we were discussing in the more traditional American republicanism and democratism. I don't know how to say that. Got going on a convo with my youngest about it, and it's like I joke about it on the podcast all the time. I don't know what it means anymore. I was like, part of the reason why I like libertarianism is because there's a philosophy to it, and the point of having a philosophy, like a philosophical take on it, is that you measure a decision against the philosophy, not against your preference, not against what you like or think is better. You go, okay, stop. Whatever the decision is, here we're going to vote on this. You don't look at it of what you like more or what's better for you or what's better for the nation or what's better for your friends or whatever. You look at it as like, how does this apply to the philosophy? And the big two core principles in libertarianism are the non-aggression principle and private property, private ownership. So the non-aggression principle is like you just don't start fights. It's not saying you can't fight. You just don't start fights. And if you don't start fights, right. And so, and you know, but that goes out into all the different parts and pieces. And like, you know, aggression traditionally in the more military fight style, like, you know, you don't go start foreign interventionism. Like that's without, like, you know, all this foreign interventionism that we've done for years, the empire that is the United States, libertarians don't buy that. Like, we don't want to be doing that. We don't think that's the right thing to do. And so, but again, point being is that there's those philosophical, those pillars of the philosophy I understand and I agree with. And that's why I lean libertarian on a lot of stuff.
Is it pretty concrete?
There's a few. Like, well, yeah, there's like 7, I think. I don't remember what they all are. But like those are the top 2 for most. And it gets into a priority fight. Like some people prioritize one over the other. And how does one affect the others and stuff like that. And that's not...
I assumed it wasn't too different yet. And you're kind of questioning of like, what does it mean to be a Republican or what does it mean to be a Democrat?
Right. Well, I mean, like, you know, you get there's a number of issues that get complicated and that the philosophy doesn't answer simply. Like abortion's a weird one. Like abortion's a weird one, period, in all conversations. Yeah. But like libertarianism goes both ways on it because you have like, well, the non-aggression principle, you know, you're ending a life. That's aggressive. but you're also making somebody do something. That's aggressive. And which one takes priority? And so libertarianism has a hard time working through that one. But again, like, my point is, like, that's a random third party. It is the largest third party in the United States, but it's a random third party.
Right.
And I know I know at least a couple of the pillars of their philosophy. I don't know what the pillars of the Republican and the Democratic philosophy are anymore.
Well, some poll that was done recently, I can't remember who did it, but it was, I want to say, close to half or more than half of Americans polled didn't identify with the Republican or Democratic Party.
Right. Which is awesome if they just had people that weren't Republicans or Democrats to fucking vote for every once in a while. And I think that's part of what's going on up in the Northeast with all these DSA wins. We've had a bunch of wins.
There was one in Colorado. I think that was a couple days ago.
There's some girl in Colorado. Was another one?
So.
And she won a Republican primary.
I thought she unseated Democrat.
But she's like 22 or something like that. Like if she wins the general, she stands to be the youngest person in Congress ever.
Oh wow! I don't know if I heard about that.
Yeah, I don't know if that was in that list, but I mean, I think the point of that is that I think we are approaching, and I'm curious how it develops over time. But it seems like we're approaching, or maybe it's a unique one-off that we're in the middle of right now, where quote establishment is bad.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. You know, we've seen it in some elections where, like, they just want something new. They're like, I don't want that old person.
We saw it here locally.
We need to shake something up. We want something new.
We did it here locally in the county primary. We had 2 incumbents lose their primary challenge.
Oh, okay.
Maybe 3. So, like, the commission, all of the commissioners that are on this ballot cycle will be new commissioners. We will have some that are off cycle that'll stay, but all of the other ones will be new. Which I don't think that's ever happened, at least not recently in recent election history or locally. And so I think there's something to that. It goes back to what we were talking about the Trump thing earlier. It's like, I don't know who's looking around going like, this is cool. And I was been thinking more about what Larson said when I talked to him a couple weeks ago. It's like, he's like 200-something thousand people were eligible to vote that didn't come out and vote in this primary. Yeah. They must think everything's all right. And it's like, I can't prove that you're wrong, but it feels like that's wrong. It's got to be wrong. 200,000 people. A portion
of it is, but I wouldn't say a majority of that.
200,000 people in Knox County cannot be looking around going, this is awesome.
Right.
You know, but again, the election, at least those that voted, seem to think so too. I don't know. That's weird. I don't know. It's weird to me. I'm struggling to work that whole thing out. But
I'd say there's probably some extent they're just disenchanted. They're like, I've gone out the past 2 or 3 elections and nothing's really changed. So I don't think that my going and voting is going to change anything.
Right. There's a new movie.
I don't know how many close elections we've actually had. So
yeah, I mean, especially in the primaries, we have some that are like low double digits, like 20, 15, 20.
Really?
We had 11. I think we had 11 this cycle in this primary.
Oh wow.
One of the commission seats was an 11 vote difference.
They're like, I want to recount.
But so anyway, I mean, but again, like my point being is like, what is do you know what any of the pillars are for the Republican Party? National, local, state?
No, couldn't tell you.
I mean, like I know what I thought they were, and this is what I was telling my kid. It's like, it used to be, or like at least the assumption of what that I had. I don't know if it's officially part of the platform or not, but the assumption I have was like less red tape, low taxes,
small government.
Small government. Like I always thought that was the Republican thing. It's not functionally what the Republicans are doing. Let's look here and say Tennessee. They're not reducing the size of the government here. They're making it bigger. They're making more regulations. They're adding they're adding red tape. They're adding taxes in ways like it was my core argument against Briggs when he introduced the original version of this bill. Like, you were a Republican, Mr. Briggs, correct? Yes. I thought Republicans stood against adding taxes and against adding regulations. You were doing both those things with this bill.
They had regulations. They didn't create a new entity. They, folded the regulation of that into...
Still a new regulation.
Yeah, right.
And if Ag would have kept it, they would have had to have been a larger organization than they currently were. That's why they moved it over to ABC. But ABC's budget went up for it. They've had to do more stuff. They've had to add more special agents or TABC to manage all these things. So
I thought the people you talked to at Ag were like, and I didn't know if they mentioned actually having to bring more people on. They're like, oh, we're going to have more. We're going to have to do.
No, the intent was, well, I think the intent from Ag was to get rid of it as fast as they could. They didn't want to do it.
Okay.
But I think the way, like in the way it wrote in the budget notes or the fiscal notes on it, I mean, a percentage of the tax from the law was obliged to go to Ag to help pay for admin.
Okay.
And so you assume that if they're getting 2 or 3% of a 6% sales tax, they're going to add bodies.
True.
Because they were supposed to be out inspecting as well, which they weren't doing. Because they didn't have the fucking manpower to do it. That was part of their issue. And so again, that's what I thought Republicans were, but yet here, very direct and distinctly personally, right here in Knox County, we have a prominent Republican elected official who's out there adding laws, adding regulation, and adding taxes. And then the same thing on the other side. Like, what are Democrats? Like, what is the pillar? What are the core pillar beliefs what is the philosophy that they measure their decisions against? Like, that's the thing to me. And I think the truth is, and the Republicans, as of late, the philosophy is the Bible. That's the philosophy that they measure their decisions against. What does God say in that other book about how we should treat this situation?
So, I don't know.
Seems to be I
think both like to revel in the vagueness of it.
Right. Which again, but for us, for me's and you's out there, it's like, well, how do we make decisions if, again, like that's always what I argue with. It's like, what does it mean to me, the voter, that you have an R after your name? It doesn't mean anything, because what little it does mean, you guys then go, well, but each candidate is an individual, so then get rid of the name. You don't get to be on, you don't get to play for the Tennessee Titans and say, well, I'm an individual, I'm not a Titan. It's like, no, you're a Titan. You play on the team. You do the job that you have you are an individual that's part of a collective unit that is trying to win football games. You're a Republican. You're an individual that's part of the unit that's trying to win power. I would probably be the lazy way to describe it, but you're that's the point of having the grouping of the organizations, is to have a collective that can move toward a goal. But like, what's the goal? And what is the how do you I don't know, because again, why did they hate Eddie Manis? Because he wasn't a good Republican, not because his philosophy of Republicanism was right or wrong, but because they weren't sure they could count on him to vote the way they wanted him to when it came time for him to vote. That's what, and again, I guess that's the truth of it. I do know the answer to my most often asked question on here. The correct answer is a Republican is a person who votes the way the Republicans tell them to vote when it's time for Republicans to vote. Yeah, okay. A Democrat is a Democrat who votes with the Democrats when the Democrats say this is how we're voting. At least from the party perspective.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, anything else that you came across this week? That you sent me a text. What was that about? Which one was it? Oh, no, you sent me the video on the Blackburn thing.
Yeah.
That's right. Bitch crazy. She needs it. I don't know. I don't know.
I love how she just kept repeating, I talked to lots of Tennesseans. We talked to lots of Tennesseans.
Of course you do.
Well, why won't you have a debate? We talked to lots of Tennesseans.
Yeah,
we talk to Tennesseans every day. I think that's what she kept saying.
In D.C., when you're up in D.C., they call your office and you answer the phone?
I think they've impressed her on her meeting with some big business, basically.
Where's she at on data centers?
I'm not sure. I want to say Jacobs came out and endorsed some kind of 1 year moratorium or whatever, basically, of kind of kicking the can down the road. All right, we're not going to expand any more data centers for at least a year.
Yeah, but he also made a point in his presser on it to say, if you're watching this on Facebook, which is where I released it to, that's going through a data center somewhere.
Yeah.
Which is true. But it's a question. I mean, I think it's a fair democratic question that we need to grapple with as a society, and our elected officials need to be on board with. I mean, if this is democracy, you're supposed to pretend to be democracy. our elected officials need to be on board, and we want to have a conversation about this. Do we want this?
I think there's a reason why you see them popping up in rural areas. There's going to be less pushback.
Right, and then more likely that they'll buy the bullshit that this is going to bring jobs to the community, which it doesn't.
Right.
Or, I mean, it does short term. Like, if you're a contractor and do some construction work, you'll get some work, but once it's built,
right,
like 4 people work there. But I mean, like, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm curious. I like, I go into these little random deep dives on, like, I got a sophomore in high school right now. We were talking about colleges earlier. Doesn't seem particularly interested at this time in going to college. That might change in the next couple of years. But, like, he keeps talking about doing welding or some sort of trade skill. It's like, great, do it. Chase it down. Get after it. But, like, I think realistically, Micro is probably pretty right. Those are going to be the last ones that get swallowed up by automation, although they already have on some levels in some places. Yeah. Like cars used to be hand welded, and now they're welded by robots, or they're made out of plastic, or both. And the question still is the AI actually going to get to that singularity point where it's good enough to do stuff? Because right now it's not getting close to the promised land of AI yet.
They can do some things.
Like, what was it, Ford?
It's been used more for like customer service type things.
Was it Ford, right?
I don't know.
Ford had fired laid off a bunch of engineers and replaced them with AI, and then had a bunch of problems, and then went and rehired a handful of those engineers, intentionally stating
they want you to train
that it was temp to help train the AI to get this right.
I don't think I heard that story.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And so it's like, and so I don't know. Like, I still don't understand the water complaint. I'm still confused on the water problems of AI.
I think I heard about Meta doing that, hiring some software engineers to help them train the AI.
Yeah. And so it's. I mean, it's. But my point is, bringing the kid back into the conversation. It's like, I have no idea what my kids are going to do with their lives, because I have no idea what the world's going to be like.
Right.
By the time they graduate and start entering the workforce. I know from young adults that I interact with from time to time that it ain't great right now. Like, excited to be renting a small apartment for way more than they can afford, but they are at least better off than their friends that are still living with their parents. Yeah. It's like, that's a pretty abysmal state. Like, there's, saw this one guy, 26, 27, renting a house in Old North Knox and fighting with the neighborhood organization because they don't like renters as part of their neighborhood organization. They don't like that the owners of the house are renting it and not leaving them. They want owner occupied.
Yeah.
And I get it from the homeowner because, like, theoretically a homeowner is going to care more about the place than a renter is. But it's like, listen, you guys are all old and dying. And none of you are selling your houses. You're turning them over to your kids, and your kids are then renting them. Or you're putting it in an estate, and the estate rents the house.
Right.
You guys aren't selling these. You guys aren't selling these houses. I need a place to live. I like living here. I care about this neighborhood. Let me be part of the organization. And he ended up getting in and being part of it and whatever. But it's like, guys, getting on to 30 and he wants to own a house, just can't do it. It's like, that's not a great outlook for my kids.
Yeah.
It scares me. That's, of the pantheon of excuses I made to invest in building this little outbuilding in the yard and trying to fight with the city to get annexed so that I can live in it, is to have an option where I don't have to have them move back into the house as adults. Or I can have them move into the house as adults and me and the missus can go live in the small house or whatever. But have that option. Like, we have that option now. Depending on what happens as zoning and stuff updates around here, I could parcel that off and it could be a separate parcel. And I could gift it to the kids, or I could gift the main house to the kids, and then we could go in the small house and they can actually own property. Like, one of them asked me, like, what my net worth was. Really? And I was like, I remember we were talking about it, like, when I was really into poker and we were playing, like, free rolls, like, all the time, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. I think it's when I bought into the company, when I bought the original partner out, the missus and I were having a conversation. I was like, when I make my first $1 million, you got to let me go to Vegas and play the World Series. She's like, how much is that? It's like 10 grand. I don't know if it's still 10 grand, but it was 10 grand back then. And she's like, okay, deal. And so we were telling that story or whatever. And he's like, have you made $1 million yet? It's like, in my lifetime? Yes, I think so. Pretty close to it. He's like, so you're like, you're
so we're millionaires.
He's like, what's your net worth? And I was like, $50, $75. I don't know, not much. He's like, I don't get it. And it's like, the number one asset is this house, and according to this county, it's worth a lot of money. It's worth way more than we agreed to pay for it, and it's worth way more than I still owe on it. But I still owe on it. And it's like our net worth is our assets, which is this house, the cars, I guess. Theoretically, I guess I could include half of the business.
Yeah.
But it's not really a functional asset. It could be, I guess. I don't know how an accountant would look at that. But then how you value that against, because there's like, if we were to sell it, there's generic ways that you like. It's like 3 years of revenue or 5 years of profit is a good way to price your business. That's one of those like rules of thumb or whatever.
Okay.
And it's like, okay, well, 3 years of revenue is a lot of money. That's in the millions. And so theoretically, we could sell it for a couple $1 million and I'd get half that.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe, but not really. I don't know.
You talking about your kid asking about that reminded me of a funny story of one of our friends' younger brothers years ago. Was their mom smoked cigarettes, and I guess at one point the younger brother did the math on like how much she had spent, over however long on cigarettes. It's like, we could have been millionaires.
That's funny. Yeah. Probably.
Stuff like that adds up. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you could do something else with it.
Right.
Like if you had done it, if you had put those $5 a week, like we're trying to figure out like how much a pack of cigarettes is nowadays. I went into the bar and looked at their machine.
I think there's 6 or 7.
I went to the bar and I'll say this: if you're not like the cigarette retail wholesale industry is the craziest, most fuckery. Like you hear me complaining about liquor and stuff like that, and the weird stuff that they are allowed to do and not allowed to do and all that kind of stuff. Cigarettes are next level. So I'm talking to a vendor of ours that does carry cigarettes, but we haven't bought them from him. But I was like, we're thinking about maybe bringing them in, see if we can offset some of our weed losses. What are we looking at here? So the way cigarettes work, as I understand it, allegedly, let me see if I can't, the cigarette companies are litigious, so let me be careful here. Do you think I cautioned enough? The way I understand it, allegedly, the way cigarette companies work, is all R.J. Reynolds or Philip Morris or Ashtray or whatever the big company is now that bought a couple of them up, all they do, they have an ungodly amount of control all the way through the system. So, distributors, for example, Hackney Company out here in just west of town, right? Hackney Company is one of the bigger tobacco distributors in East Tennessee. Most gas stations and grocery stores you get to around here probably get their cigarettes from Hackney. So, I don't know if it's Hackney, but it goes back in time. I remember when we first got rolling, I had the idea, and I went and was trying to talk to some smaller gas stations. I was trying to get a meeting with Weigel's. Be like, hey, can we sell you in some vape products that you can have at your store as an alternative?
Right.
And Billy Weigel hated it. Billy, like everybody I talked to in the company, Billy Weigel hates it. And I was like, okay, whatever. And I didn't put much more thought into it and kind of gave up on that premise. I got a couple of different little things here and there that I was trying to work on. But, whatever. Figured it out. Didn't really go anywhere, but it was something. It was a little random thing. So I come to find out later on, it's that from a guy I know that works at a different company, is that they were getting into vape products as a wholesaler because they saw the potential in it. Well, Philip Morris finds out and says, you're not selling that anymore. And they said, why? We're making good money off of it.
Competition.
And he said, you could sell it if you want to. That's I can't stop you from selling it, but you will no longer get rebates on your cigarette purchases from us. And so that works all the way downhill. So like if you're a gas station or like remember when we used to have smoke shops that were just cigarette places?
Yeah.
Like the only way that works profitably is the rebate programs that Philip Morris and them puts up. And so essentially, when the state of Tennessee has a minimum allowed by law, which is like 12% over wholesale. Your wholesale price is not what you ever actually pay for it if you're playing by the rules inside the system. So a carton of Marlboro Lights, let's say, is $50. You're allowed to sell it, a carton of Marlboro Lights at retail at 12% over that, so $56 is your minimum you're allowed to sell it for, right? Well, that sets the price at $56 because your wholesale is $50. But after a certain number of cases of cartons, you send some paperwork into RJ Reynolds and you get an account credit for $10 a carton. So you went from making $6 a carton to $16 a carton.
Right. There's probably volume discounts as well.
Right, but it's all built on this rebate system that as long as you're moving enough product and filing the paperwork, you're getting the rebates, and that's how you can be profitable selling cigarettes.
I don't know if I've noticed in a while, but I remember there were like places off the interstate that had the sign that was like lowest carton price allowed by law.
Right, allowed by law. Right, because there it is. I don't remember exactly what the number is, but there is a fixed number allowed by law. And so,
because all of them have to have the state stamp as well.
So what I come to find out on the Weigel story is, and I don't know if Billy knew this yet or if it was something that they didn't know about or whatever. I don't know exactly what the skinny was. But what I come to find out on the Weigel story is Philip Morris, RJ Reynolds, all these big tobacco companies hated vape. They didn't want vape. They didn't like the competition of vape. And so they basically started telling retailers like Weigel's, if you sell vape products, you're no longer eligible for your rebates.
Yeah.
And so it's not them telling you what you can and can't sell, but it's basically saying you go from making a decent amount of money off of a carton of cigarettes to zero.
Right.
Or to near zero. And so it was that's why for a long time you didn't see them. And then when you did start seeing vapes sneak into gas stations, that's because they were the brands that Philip Morris and RJ Reynolds either bought or created.
Yeah.
And so, long story short is a carton of American Spirits at wholesale right now today. If you have a retail permit and the proper paperwork with the state of Tennessee and want to sell cigarettes, a carton at wholesale price is $90.
Damn.
The cost is $9 a pack. Now, again, if I wanted to get into selling cigarettes and really try and move enough cigarettes, I could then get rebates and probably get that at $70 a carton.
Yeah.
But it's still $7 cost a pack of cigarettes. But American Spirits are expensive.
Right.
I think Marlboros are in the 40 or no.
I was supposed to smoke in those for a little while, like a year or two before I quit.
The Marlboro Black series, which is their discount, they're cheaper. The Marlboro's cheaper ones,
right.
They're $40-something a carton. If you're not under contract and getting in all this other shit.
Right.
And so, a buddy of mine that has a vending machine, they're $12 a pack for Marlboros in his machine. Which machines are always over.
I remember seeing a machine that was like $10.
Right. The American Spirits are $13 a pack in that machine.
Damn.
He sells American Spirits in fucking a cigarette machine though, which is crazy.
The people are desperate enough to buy it.
Yeah, and I don't think they're desperate enough. They like it. The kids these days are into those natural cigarettes.
Yeah.
Which I guess if you're going to smoke cigarettes, I'd prefer you smoke those because they're less bad for you. But damn, they're expensive.
Yeah.
But it's just like, it's a crazy ass industry. Like, it's completely colluded. Like, you know, if we decide to pick up cigarettes to sell at the bar, which I think we're gonna, it's gonna be stupid expensive, and people are gonna complain at us and be like, listen, I'm not gonna put myself in a position where I can't sell my vape products, which is our core business. And so the only way I can sell cigarettes is if I sell them super expensive, because I'm not gonna go under contract with them where they can control what I sell in here.
Right.
That's not on my to-do list. But it's a crazy
stance. You want to buy cigarettes? I've got some.
Right, but it's just crazy to me, like that. There's a not only a different like a third party company that can control both the wholesaler and the retailer at the level that they control them, but it's also cigarettes. Like of all the companies that should have some like that having downstream control might make sense. Like maybe pharmaceuticals or something like that might make sense. That company that creates it might want or need to have control of the distribution and the retail of their product, and or have the legal ability to get away with it. I don't know. I don't know why I feel like cigarettes like shouldn't have the legal ability to do that. Like I feel like if I were a wholesaler, I'd be like, nah, you're going to sell it to me at this, or I'm not going to buy your shit, or I'm going to sue you for it because you can't control my systems. You're not my company. You're a vendor to me. You don't get to control me.
Yeah.
But they have no. I mean, they have the,
they're big tobacco.
Right. They've got control and they've got the legal backing to do what they're doing, and they're going to keep doing it, which is nuts. Meanwhile, we can't smoke in bars at the end of the year. But they can control what you're allowed to sell at a place. So, anyway, last call, friend. You got anything else?
Don't think I saw anything else pressing.
Oh, all right. Well, I'm not sure. We may skip a week. We may take next week off. I'll be out of town. We may do a quick call-in mini show. We'll see. We'll just do what we do, and we'll go from there. But first, we're going to get weird.
I forgot I was going to mention this one last week. I don't know if you saw the story. I guess DC settled with a guy who got arrested for following around ICE and blaring the Star Wars Imperial March song.
I love it. Yeah. I'll tell you this. I've said it 100 times. Andor, the Cassian Andor story is my favorite plot line in the greater Star Wars universe. The Rogue One movie, and then they have 2 seasons of the show. Fantastic. Favorite thing. And it boggles my mind how much Star Wars is accurate, and if you're going to pick which side the America is on, America is the Empire. 100%. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's hilarious. I love it. I saw a good funny thing where since we're talking Star Wars Imperial March, there's a band, like a concert band, and the low brass section had learned it. And it was in the same key as some piece they were actually doing. And so they're in rehearsal, and they're in the middle of rehearsal, and just right in the middle of rehearsal, in the song that they're supposed to be playing, they start playing the Imperial March over it. Like the tempo was right, all the stuff was right. And the director was kind of like, the camera's on the director for a second, and he kind of gives this like sideways glance, and then there's this moment where there's clear acknowledgement and appreciation for the amount of effort they put in to make it work, and it worked. But yeah, love me some Star Wars, always.
Let's see here. We got Australian officials ask fans to respect the privacy of Neil, a 1-ton seal who respects nothing.
What privacy is he? What?
Huh?
How are they not being respectful of the privacy part? I don't know.
I guess they're asking the public to respect the whale's privacy.
Where is this whale seal or whatever?
1-ton whale seal.
And where is it?
Let's see here. In June, the blubbery 5-year-old mammal hauled itself onto land for its twice-yearly tour of beachside towns in southern Tasmanian state after months of feeding at sea. That's posing problems now that he weighs as much as a small car and has a social media following more than double Tasmania's human population. His rampage through local infrastructure has claimed bent traffic bollards, a sign warning public about seals, and a fence that did not survive Neil's attempt to vault it. The rest of the time he lies placidly any place he likes, which is sometimes the middle of the road, bringing towns he visits to a standstill.
All right, so respect the wildlife where you live? Yeah.
Apparently he just fucks shit up.
Yeah. let's go local, Let's bring it here and talk about these idiots interacting with the bears down in Gatlinburg and stuff. Speaking of...
It's got 1.4 million followers on TikTok.
The first parade of the 4th of July is going on right now. Oh, they used to show it. No, they're not showing it. They used to show it on NBC. Yeah. But that's a lot of animal.
Yeah.
His
crimes have included picking fights with parked cars and smashing through barriers erected to keep him off roads.
What do you think the insurance is for Tasmanian drivers? What do you think the deductible is on whale seal coverage?
I'm assuming it's a protected species that you can't mess with.
I mean, whether it is or isn't, I'm sure it's not a huntable species, so you can't fucking kill it.
Right.
But, all right, man, that's the show. 3, 2, 1, go. We like to do our podcast. We like to do it every week. Also at gmail.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, go to the website, also get content, we're all on there. Go to your favorite podcast provider, like, friend, share, follow, text your friends, do the sports show. We're going to keep making our shows and having a good time doing it. And we hope you learn a little something and stick with us. So, we'll see you guys next week. Bye.